Welcome to the Circle of Trust podcast with your host, law firm CMO Keith Dyer. Brought to you by LexGro, the leader in law firm marketing strategy, training, and implementation. If you're ready to grow your law firm with predictable case flow and revenue, you're in the right place.
Hello, and welcome everybody to the latest edition of the Circle of Trust podcast. This is a cool day for me because on a Friday, I get to actually talk to a friend of mine instead of it being a stranger. Not that I don't like talking to the strangers as well, but it makes for an easy Friday afternoon to hang out with a buddy. Unfortunately, I don't have any beer here. We could have just done this over beers, but
we've done that before, Keith, so it's not so bad.
We have, that's right. I think the first time I met you was in Atlanta or Chicago. One of the two. It was Atlanta, I believe.
Atlanta, yep.
And we had some cocktails after a long day of meetings. Lee is a personal injury attorney in New Orleans, Louisiana. And I'm gonna start off by just asking you some generic sort of questions about yourself because I want the audience to know all about you. And then I want to bring up some things that I know about you that I think are so cool. But tell us, how did you get to be a personal injury attorney? And I know that you're a Philly guy. So how did you end up in New Orleans?
Oh, man, don't call me a Philly guy, Keith. Don't call me a Philly guy. I'm a Jersey guy. And I align, my family's all from New York. So all my sports teams are in New York. So call me a Philly guy.
I thought you had a Philly connection.
My little brother lives in Philly now.
Okay. I'm sorry. You're a Jersey guy.
It must be hard for him, right? Watching the Eagles and all these the Phillies do so well and tearing our heart out as Giants fans and whatnot.
Yeah, Giant. And what's interesting is I'm actually a Washington fan. So
we all horizon.
Yeah, we all reside in the same conference, right?
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
So how did I get here?
Yeah. As a New Jersey guy, how did you get down to New Orleans?
Sure. I came to Tulane. Day before Hurricane Katrina was my first day of freshman orientation. I came here because a good buddy of mine, one of my best friends growing up, his parents had met here. His older brother had gone here. He didn't have the grades to get in. And then one day I randomly got an application in the mail and said, oh, I've heard about this school from my buddy. I should apply. It was a free application. I said, what's it going to take me? A couple hours, an hour to fill it out? Might as well do it. Got in, got a scholarship. My dad said to me, look, this scholarship puts it on par with some other schools you were going to entertain in the area, in the Northeast. Now we can go take a look. Came down, fell in love with it, decided.
Tulane is a cool school. It's got a great football program. It's got a nice athletics program.
Really nice campus in the city. Small-ish school, but big enough to not see the same kids in every class and at every building. It's about 8,000, gets about 10 when you talk about grad students.
Yeah, and it's a brand name too, which is cool.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really neat about it is it's really about the network, right? You can learn, the education you get at a lot of these schools is comparable, but who you meet, where they're from. I can go to any city in this country and I probably know somebody from Tulane Law School. So it's really neat. And then I've gone places because of that. I've been to Chicago several times. I got good buddies in Miami, friends in California, where you might say, I'm going to go here once. But when you go and you have friends, you can make it a thing over time.
Sure. It's a national brand school, even though it's not huge and it's not a football powerhouse necessarily. You guys have had some good years recently in football.
Yeah.
Really good. I know that because my school is in the same conference. I went to ECU, so you guys have whooped up on us a couple times in the past few years, and we've played you guys consistently for a couple of decades.
And what's changed, Keith? Our sports, baseball was always good. Basketball's improving. Football's improving. So there's an affinity for the school, maybe in that capacity. But we're not SEC schools akin to ECU versus a Duke or a North Carolina. The sports affinity isn't where people gravitate. But I think that when you leave New Orleans, if you loved it, which most people do, that's the connection. So you might find somebody, let's say you're in finance and you go interview with somebody at a big bank and they're like, oh, you went to Tulane. I went to Tulane, but all you do is talk about New Orleans, not about Tulane. And then people feel like, hey, you got out of there and you survived New Orleans and then you thrived and you're a competent adult. There's probably something about you that says you've got an edge that will take you places. So
for sure. I get what you mean by that. I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it takes a bit to come out of here and stay above float because a lot of people get swallowed up by all the fun and the debauchery.
Yeah, the first time I ever went to New Orleans was for a PELMA conference, and I did not like it. And then the next time I went back, I liked it a little bit more. And then the third time I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I get why this is a cool place to come. And it really, for me, the food is awesome, but I also love the ability to just dip into somewhere and listen to some great music. I love the Cigar Box Guitar Festival that they have. That's pretty cool.
So, Keith, I have two young kids. Two little girls. One's about to be 6. One's about to be 3. I took them my wife's out of town for work. I took them to a coffee shop we liked this morning for breakfast before I took them both to camp. And some guy walks in and I look at him because I'm facing the door and he looks at me. I look at him. We just smile. He says hello. I say hello. And my oldest one's like, do you know him? I was like, no, I don't know him. But that's one of the coolest things about New Orleans is like people just say hello to each other on the street. And there's an element of we work to live and not the other way around and really enjoying life living in this city and in businesses like ours, right? Pretty high intensity, high stress to be in a place where at some point work stops because it's Jazz Fest or it's Mardi Gras or it's a Saints game. Like it does, things slow down because the city focuses on life. It's pretty awesome in that capacity. And so that I'm really thankful for and like why I really chose to stay here after finishing school.
Yeah, it's a fun place to be. It's always got some kind of a party going on somewhere or something. And I enjoy that. Cool. So what made you decide to become a personal injury attorney?
So I say this and I'm nothing negative to my peers, but I came out of law school, right? I did what I think most law students do, right? They either want to save the world and they want to go into public interest, maybe do some criminal type work, or they want to get a big law job, a good, high paying, big law job. I didn't want to save the world in many respects. I wanted to get a job that was going to pay me and teach me to be a lawyer. I didn't have the grades to go be a top 10%, top 5% law review student and get a white shoe job. But I got a job at a litigation firm, with a transplant like me from the Northeast, guys from the Bronx. Somebody recommended me to him. We interviewed. We really took a shine to one another, and he offered me my first opportunity. And that work was a hybrid job. It was a lot of insurance defense or corporate defense on tort claims, injury type claims. And there were some sprinklings of employment, plaintiff side employment, and plaintiff side injury work. And I always liked the ability to make an impact on the person you're working for, right? You know, you work for an insurance company, which I did for a dozen years, and you do a great job. What do you get? An attaboy? Maybe you get to get more pie for winning the pie eating contest, right? Another couple of cases, which is great. But also the people that you're working for, what's the strategy? You want to take a person that might be legitimately injured by the thing that your insured did, and you need to try to minimize that as much as possible. You need to figure out, like, what can we find in their past or about their credibility to beat that person up so we pay less and we pay it later. Like, that is basically the strategy. At a point, that becomes pretty disheartening. And this business that I'm in now wasn't intentional. It started because I helped the woman who started cleaning she was the assistant cleaning lady at the condo my wife and I bought as the first house as a couple. And I've been helping Miss Daisy. Now she's been cleaning my house and we've been friends for over a decade. She was renting a house with her family. I know her kids. I know her husband. Like, they're lovely people. And the landlord was just giving her all sorts of grief, claiming that she left the house in disarray. I said, there is absolutely no way this is true. So I looked at her lease. I saw what they were doing. I said, I think I can create enough leverage here to get this guy off your back. So she gets this nasty letter from the landlord, from a lawyer. I go to the lawyer's office. I say, look, this is what's going to happen. If you don't leave this lady alone, I'm going to leave here and my assistant's going to file a lawsuit against your landlord, your client, and I'm going to be demanding all this stuff, and I'm getting my attorney's fees. And the guy says, look, I don't have the authority to do that. I'm like, you can't get the authority right now, and I leave this room. Like, the first thing that's going to happen is my phone call to my assistant, and it's going to get filed. And he didn't have the authority. So I literally walked out the door, picked up my cell phone, called my assistant, and said, the lawsuit that I filed, I had prepared, ready to file it. The next morning, I get a call from the landlord himself. What can we do to stop all of this? What can we do? I said, I told your lawyer what we could do. Just leave the lady alone. And that was it. So he left her alone. I did all that, of course, at no cost to Daisy.
Right.
And she said, how can I repay you? I said, when your friends getting little fender benders, have them call me. I can help them. I've been helping people on the other side. I'd already started doing some employment work by referral on the plaintiff side. Let me help them. And referral begets referral. You start telling people what you're doing. The guys that used to cut my hair were great referral sources, because what do you tell your barber other than the gripes and complaints and things going on in your life? And so they would hear people's problems and they would say, hey, you should call Lee. And Daisy and her friends would call Lee. And then all of a sudden, the phone calls to Lee became this small book of plaintiff PI work. I took that from one firm to another. That firm had a package where it was basically like, do your defense work and you get this bonus. And if you bring anything on the plaintiff side, you'll get a separate bonus. They never envisioned it to be what I ended up making it, which was a whole book of plaintiff work. And by the time I left, I generated more in fees on the plaintiff side than I did on the defense. It was close, but it was more on the plaintiff side. And they said to me, Lee, we didn't think anybody would do this, and we're very proud of you, but we can't have it. We've got to focus on defense. We're going to limit the plaintiff cases you can bring in, and we're going to change the financial structure. And I said, fuck if you're doing A and fuck if you're doing B. Like, we ain't doing it. And as soon as they said that to me, I was going on vacation 3 days later. That entire vacation in Mexico, I spent on the phone with lawyers and law firms that I knew saying, what do I do to start my own firm? And people were super kind with information, with contacts. They offered me to co-counsel on things. They offered me office space, and just they were generous with what they had. And that was it. And I launched my firm basically 2 months later, June 1 of 2023. So we just made 2 years. And we're blowing and going. We're just adding employee number 12. So we got another lawyer starting in the fall. We are an international group. I got a lawyer in Texas. I got a guy starting here with me that'll put us at 3. I've got a couple staff in my office right here. I've got folks in Central and South America, one in the Philippines. So we're doing all the things.
I love it. That's awesome, man. And
yeah.
2 years in, congratulations on that kind of growth.
Thanks.
I think that you're a natural when it comes to getting the referrals and all those kinds of things. And I also think that you're a natural when it comes to the marketing. So let's shift a little bit of our conversation over to that.
Sure.
In this first couple of years that you've been at this, what have been some of the frustrations you've had with marketing? Like right off, like what has given you like, oh, this is not as easy as I thought it was going to be feeling. Tell me a little bit about that.
I think the easiest thing to say, and it's one of the things that everybody probably knows, but inherently you don't want to believe it, is that there's a lot of charlatans in the industry. And so you hope that if a vendor says, I can do this and I can deliver that, and this is how it works, that working with them, they're going to deliver those results. And it's not always that way. And you know, what I've said to folks, and I think it's the most important thing you can do, is tell me what it's going to take to be effective. Don't tell me you'll do it for this, and then I negotiate it down, and then it doesn't work. I'd rather you be honest with me and say, hey, to make this play work, you need $100,000 over 10 months. Okay. Yeah. If I can swallow a $10,000 a month nut, we can dance. But if I can't, I don't want to pay you $5,000 a month over the same 10 months. And then nothing happens. And I'm mad at you and me because all you needed to say to me is this isn't going to work. Don't just take my money and then leave me unhappy.
I know exactly. It's funny because I'm going through some of this with myself with a vendor that I use, but they're actually doing the right thing. And we're actually, after this meeting, I'm set to talk with them about exactly what you were just saying. But it's in a good way. And I won't go into that any further. But one of the things I loved about what you were doing is, first of all, I love your slogan, "Get Rude." That is so awesome. People don't realize that kind of stuff is so much more valuable than a lot of lawyers I've seen, a lot of attorneys and law firms, they get very conservative. They don't want to be seen as this, and they don't want to be seen as that, and they get really worried. And what they're doing is really, they don't realize that they're chomping away at their chances of success because no one cares.
This is, so you hit the nail on the head, Keith, but this is my mentality. First of all, and I'm sorry if I'm not allowed to curse on your podcast.
No, you can say whatever the fuck you want.
I don't give a fuck what other people think of me. I really don't. And the thing is, this is what I said.
You're a Jersey guy, so you were born. Yeah. You came out.
Look, my dad said to me, so I do all these crazy things on social media. And one of the first crazy videos I did, I dressed like a clown because I had a clown costume. I was like, I'm going to write a funny skit and I'm going to be a clown. And my dad said, Lee, what about your reputation? And I said, Dad, what reputation? No one knows who I am. They got to know who I am first. And then they got to be like, that guy's an idiot. But if they know that I'm an idiot, they at least know me. And then 50% of the people are going to be like, that guy, he's a fox because you think he's an idiot, but I think that's really clever. And I could really use a clever lawyer because I got a tough case and I want to hire somebody that's going to be thinking outside the box.
That's right.
So my thought process is, and I'm lucky, right? My first grade teacher was probably the first person to say, "You're acting pretty rude, Mr. Rudin." And I should probably thank Mrs. Pavone for that, the gem in the back of my mind. But we are in a business, right? The personal injury business. People kind of want that aggressiveness. Now, you can't fake it, right? If it's not, you can't be out there and do that. But I think you can tell. I have no qualms about saying what I think. I don't need to be an asshole. Like I said, it's not be rude, it's get rude. So if getting rude means being an asshole, sure, we can do that. But maybe it's not. Maybe you get more bees with honey sometimes. And I'm good at that too. So
people get it, I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think they do get it. And what I wanted to do here, Keith, and we've got so many peers and friends that I'm sure I've talked to, folks that you've talked to. It's not easy to figure out like how to build the brand. What is the brand? But you don't have to be as outlandish as I'm being. You
just have to be memorable. And here's what I tell people: don't be boring.
So we have a mutual 8-figure firm client, right? And I've become friendly with this firm, and we hung out at the most recent conference, and one of the names in the firm is a Z. And I was like, why don't you take, you're going by your firm, you're going by initials now. Why don't you take that Z and make it like Zorro style? So you've got this like cool design where people at least are going to see it and be like, oh, that's cool. Like I would wear that big Z with the other initials tied into it. And maybe you have a cool graphic
going on with it.
Yeah, just do something cool with it, because if you're going to be boring, like you see my shirt, right? I sponsor the local pro wrestling promotion.
No, we talked about this. That was another thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll get there. But my mentality is, if I have every shirt says Rudin Law across the front, like my mom will wear it. My brother might wear it. He's like, dude, I don't need any more of your Rudin Law shirts. But the people that love you are going to wear it. But everyone else is going to be like, great, I'll have another dish rag down the road. But if you give them something cool that they're going to want to wear, and it happens to have your brand on it in some cagey way, then now you just have a brand out there, and people might be like, oh, where'd you get that shirt? I'm like, oh, it's from some lawyer. Oh, who's the lawyer? Okay, now you're starting to go into the social consciousness, not because you're the lawyer, but because you have cool merch. And then when they're thinking, oh, I got into a wreck, who should I call? Oh, I know that lawyer with the cool merch. Maybe I should call him. I don't know. Maybe it'll work.
Yeah. And cool merch is great because people wear it all the time. And like you said, I'll wear it wherever. I try to get my guy here in Wilmington, Clark.
Yeah, no, Clark.
I get him we're working on a new logo. And I'm like, let's make a logo that looks cool on a Richardson hat, because we can make those and send them off for the client journey or whatever, whenever somebody comes on board, and people wear it around town and they'll start seeing it because it's cool. And then they'll like, oh, that's that law firm. And you get like this viral thing that goes on from it that nobody even can put their finger on it, really.
If you want to be cute about it and you want to save a couple bucks on scale, I get these hats. They're called Decky hats, DECKY. They look just like the Richardson. They're really nice quality.
Okay.
And I get another version of them that's like more, it's not a Decky, but it's like an athletic fit that looks like that. There's two companies. Right now I'm using ArcLight Wholesale, so ARC Light Wholesale. And I'm using a company, I believe it's called Foremost Hats. And I'm buying the blanks. And then I go get patches made. Either if you want like the, what do they call them? PVC patches. If you want to get, I have just like your standard, like embroidered patches.
Yeah.
And I have somebody locally will sew them on for me. And so what I do is that way I don't have to buy the same 24 of one color hat. I can buy 10 of a color, 10 of a color, 10 of a color. And I just put the patch on them. People walk in. I'm like, oh, you want a hat? Cool. What color do you want?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Love it.
If you're going to wear it, I'll give it to you.
And everybody wears hats. Women wear them, kids wear them, men wear them. The baseball caps and the Richardson 112 already is the most popular hat ever made. Yep. And it's great to have alternatives. So thank you for giving me those names. One of the things that I find interesting about this conversation is when I was in New Orleans the first time, I had a trade show model that I'm still very good friends with, and she was cool. She lives in there near you. I can't remember what is the name of the little township she lives in, but it's a suburb. And she's not, have you ever seen those Juan LaFonta commercials? She goes, I just hate those. And I was like, I've never even heard of them, but now you got my interest piqued. So I go to my computer. We're sitting there in the trade show room, and I'm like,
Yep.
I pulled this thing up, and it was like,
Juan LaFonta.
and it's Big Frida.
Big Frida. Yep.
And it's this bounce commercial. And then at the end, that's how you make a commercial bounce or something like that. And everybody around me were all like there were vendors for personal injury firms, but they're all like super white collar, shaking hand. They're like, oh, that's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. That's so terrible. I'm like, do you think that you're his target client? He doesn't give two shits about what you think. He's targeting the people that are sitting there late night that their son or their friend is in jail and they need someone to come get them out.
You're 100% right, Keith. This is what I say to people. And this is why like the Get Rude brand works, why I think being a little outrageous works, is because if you're white collar, maybe educated, you're in a network where you probably know a lawyer. Maybe you know a couple lawyers, or you know somebody that knows a lawyer. And so you're going to pick up the phone and you're going to get a referral. You're not going to hire the lawyer that's advertising on TV, on billboards, on radio, or on the internet. Like that's just not who you are. So you're not the target audience. And when you take that perspective and say, okay, if it's not me, who is the audience? What are they looking for? And you tailor your marketing to that in whatever style you think is your style, that's how you're going to make inroads.
Yeah.
And you brought up a point earlier. You're talking about lawyers that take themselves too seriously. Yeah, we do a lot of great things as injury lawyers, like a lot of great things for great people.
Absolutely.
But I know what people think of me. I know what the characterization is.
It sucks that they think of you that way because you actually serve them versus the other way, versus the insurance company.
That's right. But that's what happens when you have the insurance lobby claiming, oh, we should do tort reform and these trial lawyers, these ambulance chasers. Wait a minute. Every time there is an opportunity, every time there's a verdict that shows, I don't know, 8 figures, 9 figures, whatever, 10 figures, these insane verdicts. I guarantee you go look at the adjuster notes and the litigation notes, and you find all these opportunities where that case could have gotten resolved for a more reasonable number. And somebody out there said, no, that's it. Not in our best interest. Or we don't want to pay them that, or they're full of shit. And then all of a sudden, a jury's like, wait a minute, they're not full of shit. And this insurance company and the people that work for them did them wrong. And that's when you get the away verdicts, because people are mad.
And they're purposely trying not to pay anything at all, or as little as they possibly can.
Keith, when I explain to somebody, because a lot of what I like to do with a client is I want to educate them, because maybe we'll get you a good result, but really this result, it's not what it's all about. Let's get this case resolved. Let's put you in a better position as you leave here. A lot of the auto clients, make sure you go put uninsured motorist coverage on your vehicle, because in this state and in this city, people drive around with no insurance or too low insurance, and God forbid you get hurt. That's what insurance is for. And then I have these conversations with people and I said, do you know what an insurance company is? It's an investment company. They take your money, they sit on it, it grows. That's how they make their money. The idea is not to pay you out. And so when you think about it that way, you realize like all the things they're doing, it's a feature, not a bug of the company.
Yeah.
And I was a defense lawyer for a long time. I'm cool with tort reform. Like, you show me when we pass all these laws. North Carolina has some tough ones. Florida just got their butt kicked. Georgia, they just passed some in Louisiana that aren't great for consumers, but they're claiming to be. I said, you tell me you want these reforms because you want to bring insurance rates down. I'm all for it. Dollar for dollar. Every time you cut it back, put it on the consumer. I'm a consumer. I want my rates down. But I know what's going to happen. You're still going to get multi-million, billion-dollar profits for insurance companies, and people are still going to be holding the short end of the stick.
Yeah, they will be. And the bad guys are not the lawyers. The ambulance chasers, and I hate to even use that term, but they're not the bad guys. The bad guys are the insurance companies. You need the lawyers when something happens to you to represent you, to take care of you, especially if you've been in a very serious injury or something that's lifelong that you've got to deal with.
When I have it mocked up, I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. When I make my ambulance chaser hats and shirts, I'll make sure to send one to you for Clark and anybody else, because wear it with pride. But I don't wait for the ambulance. I don't chase the ambulance. I wait for them to stop outside the ER and then I grab them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
That's it.
Those Mike Morse commercials are funny where he drops his wallet.
It's funny. He did it, right? I did one and then I had never seen his. And then I saw his like come up because I guess it was an anniversary of it and he posted about it. And I'm like, it's a great commercial.
Yeah, he does a great job with his commercials overall.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Rootomania.
Sure.
I just watched, it's funny, I've just been watching the Netflix specials on Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is the most famous and successful graduate of ECU.
I didn't know that, but now I know.
He went there. Sandra Bullock did, a few others, but he's the one he's the only billionaire, I think, that ever went to school there.
It's crazy. I grew up, if you look over my shoulder, that's Bret the Hitman Hart. I grew up a wrestling fan. I was born in the late 80s, was a wrestling fan of the 90s, and an insane wrestling fan as a kid. Then I grew out of it for a period of time, but I launched this business and I see on a friend of mine's social media account that he's at this like local pro wrestling promotion. And I knew it existed, but I really had never dabbled with it. And I said, I'm looking for something to do with some marketing money. I don't see on their social media that they have any sponsors. I should reach out to my friend, see if he can make a connection and see where it goes. He makes a connection. I talked to Luke. Luke is an actor. He's a stunt performer in Hollywood. He's owned this promotion for going on 14 years. And we connect, we meet up. I said, look, this is what I want to do. He said, Lee, I've been so busy. I have not been able to find a sponsor. This is exactly what we need. I would love to do this. So we work out a deal. And I said, all I really care about is I want to be on all your social, put me on your posters and stuff. And I want to have a table at your events to meet your fans and get involved and just build that grassroots marketing that I know I'm pretty good at in a space where I figured these are very passionate people about this thing. Right? If you're going to local independent pro wrestling, you must really love wrestling. And so I figured if I can hitch my wagon to a group of people that love this thing, maybe they'll associate me with the thing they love. And when they have a need, they'll say, I should just call the lawyer that loves the thing that I love. And so I started doing that. I would go to their events. I have tables. I give out merch. So the first event was we had Kevin Nash from the NWO. And so I made shirts that said RWO. Instead of the New World Order, it was the Rude World Order. And I gave them out to all the fans, and they're still wearing them a year later. And I just redid them in black and gold and gave them out at our most recent event in honor of Saint season. I did some Rootomania shirts. On the back, it says, what you going to do when we get rude with you? And I have them in red and yellow, like the original Hulkster. And then I made these again for Saint season. I actually gave them out at an event. We had about 50 special needs adults come through the firm. And they asked one of the clients of mine who set it up, said, hey, can we get some shirts? And I said, I'm going to make them special shirts. So I made these for them, and they were all wearing them, and it was really awesome to have them. And we're going to try to get them to come back to the events because they love it. But I hooked up with this wrestling group, and then about 3 or 4 months in, they said, hey, do you want to be our on-screen general manager? Like, the guy that is our referee, and we'd like you to be the general manager. I said, this is like a childhood dream come true. Of course I'll be your general manager in your wrestling promotion.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's taken the sponsorship to another level, because now, like, I get to go in the ring, I do promos with the wrestlers. So there's a different connection with the fans. And really, that's what marketing is, right? You want to connect with people in however you can, know and trust. Now they know me. They like me from being around, and they trust me because I'm, first of all, attached to their favorite thing. I'm this general manager. I'm at the events. I've already gotten cases from it where it's working.
Good. I love that. I was just thinking, what is that slogan that is in New Orleans? Who dat?
Who dat?
Yeah, you could do Rude dat.
Hey, you know what? I like it. So what we do a lot, down here, they take an O, right? So a go, and they put EAUX, because that also makes the O sound.
Oh, yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'll probably, for the fall, for football season, I got to run some shirts that say go Tigers, go Roll Wave, Who Dat, do it all in the thematic colors of the respective sports teams, Tulane, LSU, the Saints, and then put some of my stuff on it too.
Yeah, you could do Who Dat, Rude Dat. Just a thought.
So I have shirts coming out that look like those, like garbage bags, or shopping bags that say thank you a million times over.
Yeah.
So I have shirts that say Who Dat, and then in the middle it says Get Rude, and then Who Dat, but they're all like black, white, and gold. They're really crisp looking. And I figured people are going to love it. They're going to wear them to the Saints games. They'll be out on the town. It's marketing.
I love it. Yeah, and you're doing a nice grassroots thing. What I love about what you're doing is that you enjoy it. And so that's what gives it the chance that it's going to be even more successful. Most lawyers or law firms are not like you. They don't have that same – that's what's going to make you really successful, I think. Not that you wouldn't be successful anyway, but that's going to really be a benefit to you. Tell us where you see the firm in 5 years, 10 years. What is your ultimate goal with this thing?
So you got to understand, Keith, I didn't ask for this. Right. I didn't have a dream of starting my own firm. In fact, if you talk to me in March of 2023, I don't even know this is going to happen. But it did. And I'm one of those like roll with the punches guys and see where it goes. So do I have a plan per se? No, I didn't have a plan for the firm to be in existence, much less as successful as we are. I really do want to keep helping people. Like, I love that part of what we do, because you can make an impact. Somebody that doesn't have a lot, when you hand them that injury check and you can make their day, week, month, or year, that's pretty awesome. But I'll tell you, and I've said this to folks, and not that I want to speak too highly of myself, but I think this brand can really take off. I think it could be a national brand because it's really easy to remember. I think it fits the model, right? So I trademarked Stop Being Polite. I trademarked Get Rude. I've got getrude.com. I've got an 800 number, 833-GET-RUDE. I've got all the Get Rude social handles. Like, I think that brand alone can go national, a la your Top Dogs and some of these other big firms, because they work because they're recognizable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Morgan & Morgan works the same way if it's not Morgan and they just don't dump a ton of power behind their marketing. If it's Morgan & Smith, does it have the same ring? And if it doesn't have $100 billion of funding, does it have the same ring? I don't know.
I don't even know if it matters how much the ring is if you got $100 million.
That's the other thing. So and you said the marketing. I love it. Because I find it's a puzzle, and you can put the puzzle pieces together. And once you see the puzzle, and which lever do I pull? How do I do this? And if you figure that out, then it's just a matter of how can I create the leverage to do what you're saying? If someone gave you endless pools of money, you can be the biggest name on the block because you just outspend them, and then everybody knows who you are.
And so I totally get that. But I think you're right about Get Rude. I think it's very memorable, and it's got it's thought-provoking because you're like, why would someone say that? Oh, wait a minute. He's talking about being rude to bad guys. He's not talking about being rude in general. If you want to get what you want in this world, sometimes you got to get rude, right?
So this is so my daughter goes to one of the best public schools in town. We are a charter school system. You got to apply to get in, and I'm so proud of her for getting in. And the motto is be kind. And my wife's, oh, you want to sponsor this event? And I'm like, I'll sponsor any event that they want me to sponsor as long as I can make gear that says be kind, get rude. And when they say to me that doesn't fit like what we stand for, I'm going to say to them, wait a minute. You have young women, you have minorities, like you want people to stand up for themselves, right? You want people to not just take what this society says is okay for them, right? That's what we believe in, right? You want these kids to have a voice and be better and strive for things. Well, part of that is getting rude. Not just saying because the man says it's got to be this way that you should accept it. That's the way America is and the way that we are hoping to evolve to be better. So don't you want your kids to get up and get rude?
Exactly. And the world was not changed by well-behaved people, right?
That's right. That's right. I forget what the saying is, but like you said, closed mouth never gets fed.
That's right. Yeah. And squeaky wheel gets the grease. You can go down there. Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I think in this day and age too, even the negative stuff can still pay benefits to you. Not to say that yours is negative in any way. I'm just saying that attention is the currency. Right.
And you got to deliver. You got to deliver. Yeah,
absolutely. You especially do. Or I think we all do in business. You've got to deliver in your product and what you're talking about. But you need to make sure people know that you exist.
That's it. But I stress to my team, we're a customer service business. Now, we're not a business that we should be rude to our clients, but we're also not just the whole customer is always right. People lop off the back end of that statement. Right? It talks about the customer's always right and their taste and the things that are particular to them, but they're not allowed to treat my team like assholes, right? They're not allowed to be disrespectful to us. We're not going to be disrespectful to you, but you do pay us for a service, which is to give you advice. If you are doing the wrong thing or we think that what you want to do is the wrong way about it, we have to tell you that.
Yeah.
That's our obligation to you as a professional service. It's a service industry. But I hope that you want to hear my honest opinion. Brutally honest, but honest nonetheless.
For sure. I get that.
Yeah.
Man, this has been a fascinating conversation and an enjoyable one. I like talking with you about marketing. We see the world through the same glasses. And I like that. And I think that you got a great future ahead of you, what you're doing. And I appreciate you taking your Friday afternoon and talking to us.
I appreciate you having me, Keith. I love it. Hopefully next time those glasses that we're seeing in the world, there were beer glasses, but
we'll do beer glasses or just very expensive glasses because we can afford them.
I like it. I'll take it. Your mouth to God's ears, right?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being our guest today.
Appreciate you, Keith. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Circle of Trust powered by LexGro. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow us and leave a review. Want to grow your law firm faster? Book a free strategy call at LexGro.com. Until next time, keep growing, keep innovating. Let's grow with LexGro.